I'm already a millionaire in my mind. I may not see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I'm accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. My name is Jullien Gordon, and I'm author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. After becoming a multimillionaire through real estate investing, I was moved by God at the beginning of the pandemic to share my money mindset that allowed me to quit my job in January of 2009 at the bottom of the last recession and achieve full financial freedom. I own my mental real estate before I own any physical real estate. This book is like some of your favorites: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, and the Bible all in one. But the divine downloads and thoughts that are in here are 100% original and came to me over a 6-month period at the beginning of the pandemic. This book is normally $100 on Amazon if you went there right now, but I want to give you access to it for free by inviting you to our next reading group. Yes, the reading group is 100% free. Every weekday for 100 days straight, I'll be reading and discussing the 10 money commandments in the book that make money come to you in your life easily, more frequently, and abundantly. And it will take about 30 to 45 minutes as we read 3 to 5 pages per day until we finish the book and reprogram your mind around money. Why 100 days? Well, if you are 30 years old, you've lived for 10,950 days. And we have to deprogram and reprogram the negative, scarcity-based money mindset society has taught you. And I believe I can do that in just 1% of the time in about 100 days. I'm done with shelf help. You know, when you buy a book to change your life, but you never read it, it just sits on your bookshelf and collects a whole bunch of dust. We off that. When is the last time you had an author actually read their book to you out loud because they cared about you getting the information in your soul? I'm not just here to get this book in your hands. More importantly, I want to get it in your head and your heart, because that's where the real transformation occurs, in the conscious and the subconscious mind. As scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not the type of book that you just read once. To renew the subconscious mind requires repetition over and over and over. So if you joined us last time, I encourage you to join us again. I myself have read this book over 10 times already. So click the link to join our next reading group, and when you sign up, I'm going to give you the first 2 chapters of the book for absolutely free on what is money and abundance is your birthright, so that you can start your journey to a more abundant life today. Rich Rising, Rich Rising. Welcome to another day of Read Rich and Righteous. We're reading Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. This is our journey called the Money Mindset Reprogram, where for 100 days we are reprogramming your mind for more money. Now, today we are still in the section on actually how to reprogram your mind for more money. This was actually the longest chapter in the book, and we broke it into 3 days. So we started on Wednesday. Went through the second, third on Thursday, and now we're going to conclude this chapter on Friday. How has this chapter been for you? I hope that it's been blessing you. We've got a ton of insights. We're going through the process of, one, recognizing that we've been programmed not only around money, but in every area of our life. Then going through the process of deprogramming, meaning we clear out the mind of all the beliefs and influences that we've had. We've all been driving under the influence, right? Then we go into the space of reprogramming, actually choosing our beliefs for ourselves. Not just accepting the program that we were given by other people, even if they had loving intentions. And then from there, now we're going to go into the 4th phase, which is actually running the program and seeing what kind of fruit it bears. If you're joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you. Go ahead and type a 0 in the chat. Go ahead and type a 0 in the chat if you're joining us for the first time. Thank you for being here. However you arrived here, we are grateful. We believe in the law of attraction and the law of correspondence, and whatever resonated with you to be here at this moment in time, we see this as a divine intervention. And so we're grateful for you, and we want to celebrate you for being here. Now, of course, everybody else, go ahead and type in your consistency score. This is how consistent you've been throughout the process. We know that in order to reprogram the subconscious mind, it requires repetition. And so this is why we track our consistency score, how you've been showing up for yourself in your own life, right? So today we are actually on day number 26. We're on day number 26. So that is the highest score you can have at this moment in time. Now, the way the consistency score works is that if you're here consistently, let's say for 7 days, and then you miss a day, you don't just stay at 7, you actually go back to 6. Now, if you catch the replays and you catch up, then you're good to go and you're back at 7, right? So you can watch the replays up until Sunday. Okay, they stay up until Sunday. Some people have been asking, where are the replays? How I missed day one. I just found out about this. If you missed the replays, the way to get access to them is to go to richrightnow.com, and once you put in your information there on the thank you page, you can get access to the digital package, which includes the ebook, the audiobook, and all the replays from this reading of Rich and Righteous. Or you can get the physical copies of the book, where I give you 5 for the price of 1. Okay, 1 is for you, 4 is for you to circulate. You can circulate those by giving those freely to other people. You can charge $25 for each of them, and now you've gotten your book for free. Or you can actually make a profit. It's up to you. All right. This is the reason we do this, is because as you give, so you shall receive. So if you want to receive more, guess what? You have to give more. You have to learn how to circulate, right? And circulate in the most sustainable way possible. Our blessing model, which is how we give, and our business model, how we receive, have to work hand in hand. And a lot of us are over givers. A lot of the folks who claim to be righteous or walk in righteousness, we are over givers. And now is our season of learning how to receive so that we can give more. So we as the righteous don't receive just for the sake of receiving and for our own self, right? We actually receive so that we can give at higher and higher levels. And you've seen that demonstrated in my life through the multifamily movement, through the expansion of this community of the rich and righteous. I'm able to give at higher and higher levels as I become a better receiver. As I become a better receiver, I also become a better and greater giver. All right. So go ahead and affirm that. A better receiver becomes a greater giver. A better receiver becomes a greater giver. A better receiver becomes a greater giver. Right? That's a really, really important distinction to make. Again, we're not just receiving for our own sake. We're receiving so that we can give more. And that's what we do as children of God. Okay? A better receiver makes a greater giver. All right. So we are on page 126 now, and we're closing out this chapter on how to reprogram your mind for more money. And people ask if this $100 is real. Yes, it's actually real. See, this $100 really actually has no value. It's flat cotton, right? I can't eat it. I can't drink it. I can't wear it. So here you see me using it as a bookmark, and I'm using it as a bookmark because it just reminds me, one, that what I'm learning here is actually worth more than this, right? Of course, when you have a bookmark in a book, the book is actually greater than the bookmark. The wealth of knowledge that is in this book is greater than this $100. And some of you who have yet to purchase the book, you're holding on to $100 in your bank account when I'm seeking to give you wealth consciousness. This is me giving you, if I gave you $100, that would be me giving you fish. If I give you this, right, now you're learning how to fish for yourself. You learn how to make these on demand. And so this is what I'm teaching you here. And so, yes, I use it in a way to, one, remind me of the abundance that money is floating all around me at all times, so much so that I can use it as a bookmark. And then also to put it in its place is that this thing has inherently no value, right? The true value is what the seeds that we're planting in our minds, the rich seeds that we are planting in our minds. That is where the true value is. In fact, if you think about it, this package of seeds right here, what's worth more? This $100 or this package of seeds? Now, of course, you could take this $100 and go buy more packages of seeds, but here you don't see this in its finished form yet, but this could probably produce 20 pumpkins, right? And if you could sell those pumpkins at $10 each, all of a sudden that's $200. But oftentimes we chase this. So we're starting to really understand what is truly valuable, because these pumpkins will also have what in them? Pumpkin seeds. These pumpkins could also become pumpkin pie, right? So we're starting to see that money is not just in this form. Money is actually everywhere. And we discussed that earlier on when we did the exercise around money being in the room, and that room having currencies floating all around it. Whether it's the bed, whether it's the light fixtures, whether it's the paint, whether it's the architectural plans that you can't even see, whether it's the plumbing or the electrical in the wall, whether it's the Wi-Fi and the internet that's flowing through, right? The metals, the sheetrock, every particular material that went into making that room, right? The utilities, the utility bill, the insurance companies. One room like this one that you're in or that I'm in, right, can actually be an abundant space when you're able to see money, right, as currency. Not just what you currently see, but when you're able to see currencies, you'll start to see money everywhere. All right. So let's go into the reading now, and I want to return back really quickly to the scripture. Well, every chapter starts with the scripture, so I actually want to return back to the scripture. Okay, this was Romans 12:2, and the scripture was, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. All right, so let's keep on reading as we close out the section on reprogramming our mind. So again, recognizing that I've been programmed, deprogramming, reprogramming, and then running the program. So we're going to close out the part on reprogramming. All right, we're on the middle of page 126. As Paul writes in Galatians 4:24, which things are an allegory? Most religious stories are allegories to help explain these universal laws. But now is your time to develop your own interpretation and understand without a translator, such as a parent, teacher, or preacher. And yesterday, or the day before, we said, you know what? I'm ready for meat, not milk. I'm ready for meat, not milk. And so now I'm taking you beyond the literal interpretation of the Bible, because if you actually interpret the Bible literally, then how come everybody wants to interpret the Bible literally until it says cut off your hand or gouge out your eye, right? So people cherry pick and they want to take the Bible literally up until it gets kind of crazy, until it commands you to do something that doesn't actually make sense. So we have to have the discernment to understand which things are meant to be taken literally and which things are actually allegorical, metaphorical, similes, and parables. And we know that Jesus only spoke in parables. And so we're going to get deeper into the understanding, because the Bible is really revealing these universal God-made laws, not man-made laws, God-made laws, okay? So, but now is your time to develop your own interpretation and understand without a translator, such as a parent, teacher, or preacher. I'm not against traditional religion. I'm simply inviting you to test and approve, right? Study to show thyself approved. Test and approve these things for yourself. I don't even want you to accept anything I say as truth. I'm not asking you to accept what I say as truth. What I want you to do is I want you to try it on, test and approve it for yourself, and then you determine whether or not it is true for you. Okay? So I want you to test everything I'm saying for yourself and come to your own conclusions. Do not outsource your beliefs to another individual or institution. That's easier, but it's also passive. See, many people just go to church and they just show up and they sit in a pew. That's passive spirituality, right? There's really no action there. All you're doing is getting dressed and showing up. And that is part of the equation. But when you are actively seeking, right? Seeking is an active thing, right? Seek and ye shall find. That is being intentional. That's being proactive. That's not just going and sitting somewhere and like a sheep and waiting for somebody to tell you what is right and what is wrong. Okay. And so when we're talking about testing these things, this is why we call these the results and the fruit that you're getting from this experience test of money, not testimonies, test of money. All we're doing is testing new ways to relate to what people have called money, but we know that this is not just money, that money is everywhere, right? We're testing these things. And as you do these experiments, as you go through the rituals workbook, etc., you are testing your relationship to money and seeing which test yield more abundance in your life. They say curiosity killed the cat, but that was another program, okay, to not get you to not explore and ask questions, right? And so remember, old programs from previous generations, they actually typically have something to perpetuate the program. So they'll plant a program and then they'll say, curiosity killed the cat. Now, as a kid, you're hearing curiosity killed the cat. That means that curiosity is a bad thing. But as I said earlier in this chapter, I don't know are actually the three most powerful words in the entire world. I don't know, because that puts you in a space of curiosity, which then leads you to seek. And does not the Bible say, seek and ye shall find? Ask and it will be answered. Knock and the door shall be open. So on one hand, they're saying, don't seek. Lean not on thy own understanding. But when you read the text for yourself, it says for you to seek. So you have to decide what is true for you, because there are a lot of contradictory scriptures in the Bible, because the books were written by different authors at different times, etc. So we need discernment to understand what is actually truth. We cannot take everything literally, because if we took the Bible literally, then many things would contradict themselves. Okay? I'm challenging you to be a curious cat, not a passive sheep with the wool pulled over your eyes. See, cats have 9 lives, and so will you as you evolve. They say cats have 9 lives, right? So if we want to make up these aphorisms about cats, curiosity killed the cat. Here's another one. Cats also have 9 lives. Why do they have 9 lives? Because their curiosity allows them to evolve. You will likely evolve if you are curious over 9 times during the course of this one lifetime. There will be different versions of you. We already know that the cells die or come to life or reborn every 7 years. So if you're on Earth for 70 years, then there's actually 10 physical versions of you. The problem is that most people, while their body and their physical body may change, mentally they don't change. And this is why we go back to Romans 12:2, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? The people who don't change at all, those are the ones who concern me the most. The people who are not changing, the only thing that is constant is change, right? The only thing that is constant is change and God. God's laws are universal. They don't change. But everything else is constantly evolving. And so it's very scary when people don't change. They don't evolve. They don't ask questions. They're not curious. They're not seeking. All right? Now, when we question, we want to question out of genuine curiosity, not to create conflict. So sometimes when we come into new knowledge, what we'll do is we'll go back to the people with the old knowledge and we will question their old knowledge, right, as a way of showing that we are superior to them or to actually create conflict. That is not why we question. And if that particular program worked for them in their generation, then let it be. You're not here to convert or to convince. I'm not here to convert or to convince. So you taking your new knowledge back to them, unless you're genuinely trying to help them or get a deeper understanding, just let it go. Just let it go. You don't have to change your parents. You don't have to change anybody who is holding on to an old pattern or an old program. You can introduce them to a new way of thinking. And if it doesn't catch on to them, then they just weren't ready. And that's okay. Right? It's like a jelly jar. A jelly jar. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to twist off the top of the jelly jar, and because there's jelly around the rim, you can't get it off? But then somebody walks in the kitchen, you say, hey, I can't get this off. And they're like, oh, let me help it. And then, boop, it pops off. Right? And you're like, wait, I was struggling to do that. I was struggling to pop it off. But it's off. What matters now is that the jelly jar is open and you can use it. And so if you are trying to share new information with somebody, a new program with somebody, and it's not landing, it's not popping off in their head for them, it's okay. You may not be the one that was intended to pop it off. But eventually, down the line, if enough people come and twist that, right? They hear the same thing several times. They hear about the same book several times. They hear the same language pattern several times. All of a sudden, it pops off. What matters is that it popped off, not who popped it off. And guess what? Because you might have been the first one to introduce them to the idea, then guess what? You were part of that popping off. There have been other teachers of this methodology, this framework, right? Reverend Ike, one of my spiritual mentors, Abraham Hicks, Neville Goddard, Napoleon Hill. But right now, I may be popping it off for some of you. The jelly jar might now be open, even though you've heard of these people, you've even bought or read some of their books in the past. I may be the one to open it up for you. Now, do I need to take credit for that? No. I'm grateful that it happened in my presence, but I'm also grateful for them showing up in the way that they did, because they inspired me, right? So as we talk about reprogramming yourself, right, you do not have to share your programs yet with other people. You want to test and approve them for yourself and make sure that they're true for you. And then once you realize that they're true for you, you still don't have a responsibility to try to convert other people. You can introduce the ideas and concepts to other people, but you do not have to change or convert or persuade them. All right? So when we're questioning, we question out of genuine curiosity, not to create conflict. If someone responds defensively when you're asking a simple question, they either don't have a true understanding of what they are standing on, or it's not that true. Okay? Especially when it comes to religion, when you question things that you read in the Bible, or you question practices in the church or the mosque or whatever belief system, right? If they get defensive, then they're actually not truly confident in what they truly believe, right? Because the truth needs no defense. Now, I don't say that in terms of just if somebody comes at you, you just brush it off. You should have a way to explain why you believe what you believe, right? But people will say, lean not onto thy own understanding, etc. So I'm just showing you how programs of the past, right? They have a additional line of code in them that tries to perpetuate the program if anyone ever comes and asks a question or challenges the program. And the reason why, and I said this earlier this week, many adults have never had an original thought. And many people are afraid of new thoughts and ideas and the inner conflict and incongruence they may cause, especially if you've built your foundation, right? Belief is the building blocks of your life. It's the foundation. And so if you have this foundation, and let's say it's based on your religion from when you grew up, if you have this foundation and all of a sudden you realize that the cornerstone is weak, but you built your entire life on this weak foundation, then guess what? Or that foundation might not be weak, but that foundation was only meant to support you to get up to this stage of life. But after that, if you're trying to go to floor 2, 3, 4, 5, you're trying to elevate to higher levels of consciousness, then that foundation won't support you anymore. And many people don't want to go through the process of uprooting. And we also discussed earlier this week how children, they destroy and rebuild. They destroy and rebuild. They destroy and rebuild. And even Jesus says, I'm going to destroy the temple and rebuild it, right? What is the temple? The temple is here. The temple is here. You can't grow if your thoughts are only bouncing off each other like a game of mental pong. Emergence happens when two ideas come together to create new ideas. There are so many ways to reprogram one's mind to form your own personal religion or belief system about life. The first step is simply exposure to new thinking, whether it is new thinking from within yourself or new thinking from thought leaders, okay? The way to access new thoughts from within includes meditation to quiet your mind and take no thought, as Jesus says in Matthew 6:34. Prayer, journaling, or mind mapping to observe your mind, retreating to your own garden of Gethsemane, right? There's these darkness retreats now where you actually are in darkness for 72 hours and somebody brings you food, but you're literally just going into your inner world. I love doing float tanks. Float tanks is a sensory deprivation experience where you actually lose your sense of body. And so you actually don't know where your body starts and where it ends, right? Because the temperature of the water is the same as your body temperature. You're in darkness, and therefore you actually don't know where you start and end. And you realize that you are not this body, that you are something greater, right? Then we have retreating to your own garden of Gethsemane or reading for resonance. So what do I mean by reading for resonance? When you're reading, you actually are reading somebody else's thoughts. And when you are underlining something or highlighting something, what does that mean? That means that there's something that is resonate that they said that is resonating with you. So that thought or that idea was already inside of you. They just were able to language it in a way that you hadn't languaged it yet, but that thought was already inside of you. So you're not reading to just take on their thinking, because you may not agree with everything in their book. You may not agree with everything in this book, but where there is resonance, you want to highlight and underline. That is a specific way of reading, okay? And we want to be careful not to do it in the way of confirmation bias, where we're only looking for things that confirm what we already believe. You're not reading something to stay the same. You're reading something to become anew, to renew your mind, right? So we don't just want to read for confirmation bias, right? We want to also accept things that are ideas that are challenging the way we thought before we had the book in hand. The way to access new thoughts outwardly first begins with curiosity, and then they can come through conversations, conferences, this is one of my favorite, classes, coaches, and consultants, okay? Once your formal education is over, your real education begins. There's no required classes in life, only electives. You get to choose your major and minor. You get to decide if you wing it or seek to master it. My liberation arts education has only cost me a fraction of my liberal arts education financially. I think so many people get jaded by their formal education and the ensuing student loans that they stop investing in learning after college. I agree that formal education is overvalued, but don't stunt your own growth by avoiding paying for education afterwards. Liberal arts education has indebted millions with billions of dollars. Liberation's arts education has made millions, billions of dollars. I'm going to repeat that. Liberal arts education, the traditional education system, higher education, has indebted millions of people with billions of dollars. Liberation arts education. Liberation arts as in getting you free, right? This kind of education that I'm teaching you right now, liberation arts education has made millions of people billions of dollars. Okay? So we want to continue to invest in education, but we want to be very specific now what type of education that we're investing in. Liberation arts education has a hefty price tag too. It's not financial though. It will cost you your old ways of being, doing, and having. Going through this process of read, rich, and righteous, you cannot remain the same and expect different results. That's what Einstein defines as insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so liberation arts education, it doesn't have the same price tag as higher education or liberal arts education, but it has an even higher cost, which is your old self, your old ways of being, doing, and having. At the end of the day, the only degree that matters is your degree of freedom. All right? So now we're going on the top of page 128. We're going into the final stage of the reprogramming process, which is run the program. Okay? How do you know if a program is working for you or not? You can tell by the fruits in your life and how your life tastes. Family, in chat, let me know, how does your life taste right now? Is it sweet? Is it a little bitter right now? Is it chewy? Is it crunchy? How does your life taste right now? Is it sour? Is it tasteless? Right? How does your life taste right now? You can tell if a program is working for you by the fruits that it's bearing in your life, right? When you think about, Matthew 7:16-20 says, "Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruit ye shall know them." Okay? So that's Matthew 16-20. And if you remember from the introduction, see, if you take that literally, you only think of that as the actual fruit, right? But if you remember in the introduction, the vineyard is actually in your mind. This is a neuron. This is a neuron. And this is a grapevine. Do they look pretty similar to you? This is what we call a metaphysical study of the Bible. So we don't actually just look at what the surface layer of the metaphor or the allegory or the parable or the simile. We actually look at the metaphysical, which means meta means beyond. We go beyond the physical and we see that we are actually talking about the mind. We're actually talking about the neurons. So when you think about that, when was the only time in the Bible that Jesus cursed? Anybody know? When was the only time in the Bible that Jesus cursed? Yeah, Jesus cursed. Jesus cursed, y'all. But religion will tell you cursing is bad. Now, we do want to be very particular with our language. But Jesus cursed. Jesus cursed the fig tree. You want to know why he cursed the fig tree? Because the tree wasn't bearing any fruit. Now, what's the significance of the fig? The beauty of the fig is that it's actually not a fruit, it's a flower. But the real significance is that it blossoms from within. It blossoms from within. The flowers blossom from within. This is I think one of the only flowers that blossoms from within, right? And in the scripture, it talks about it being out of season. So why should you have been mad at it not bearing fruit? You want to know why? From a metaphysical standpoint? Because it is always in season to be growing within. Everybody type that. It is always in season to be growing within. There's not a season for growth. It is always in season to be growing within. It is always possible to be bearing good fruit. And so when we look at how our life tastes, when we look at the fruit that we're bearing right now, that is a reflection of our thinking. Because again, the grapevine and the neuron are actually correlated. As above, right? The grapevine is above ground, so below. Or as without, so within. Right? So, are y'all with me? Are y'all understanding this? So if your life tastes bitter or sour or makes you want to spit it out right now, then we have to go in and renew the mind. We have to go renew the root system, and we have to get down to the root causes and the root beliefs, because you are cause. You are cause. We don't say because, we are cause. We don't say because, we are cause. And those causes have effects. Those causes come from our belief system, right? The cause is within our mind and how we perceive life. And so we have to go within and we have to look at the root system and uproot some things. And that's where the deprogramming process came in, right? Are you enjoying how your life tastes right now or not? Is it juicy or dry? Do you feel good about each area of your life? Do you feel aligned and at peace within? You can ask yourself these questions in the areas of your personal, professional, financial, spiritual, mental, emotional, love, family, social, physical, and food life. Your answers will reveal if your programming is working for you or not, right? I'm still wrestling with the food pyramid. I'm really trying to get my, I don't call it a diet, a live it. I'm trying to get my live it, how I eat. I want to eat for energy, but I also want it to taste good. And right now where I'm at on my journey with food, my food life, is that sometimes I'd rather fast than just go eat some BS. I'd rather not eat and drink water than to go eat some BS right now. And so I'm still figuring out what my meal plan is. I do intermittent fasting, so I don't eat from the time I wake up until 6, right? I really only eat once a day. So I am navigating my food life because I realized that the old way of eating wasn't working for me, right? And so we can do this in every area of our life. But again, your answers reveal if the program is working for you or not. We're not looking for a universal answer. Going back to food, we're not looking for the Mediterranean diet or the South Beach diet, right? The South Beach diet and the Mediterranean diet worked for the authors. And of course, now they are, like I said before, they're sharing what worked for them with other people. But there's no universal diet that works for everyone. Okay, if we as melanated people try to take a European diet, that hasn't been good for us. That has not been good for us. Lactose intolerance, things of that nature. And so you have to find what works for you. There are universal laws, but there's no universal way of moving through this particular experience. So the key word here is it working for you? Yes, I know your parents taught you that. I know it even worked for your parents, but is it working for you? Is it bearing good fruit in your life? Okay? Getting married in their 20s worked for your parents. Is that the best for you? You actually want to be walking in your God-given purpose first so that you can find a divine union and partner that is in alignment with your purpose. You don't want to get married in your youth where you don't even know who you are and your purpose become that relationship instead of that relationship serving the purpose of helping you live in alignment with God. Now, have there been relationships that started really, really early and led to two purposeful people in their own individual senses and as a divine union together? Yes, that has occurred. But what I'm finding now in this time is that it's more important to get clear on your purpose first and then find a partner who's in alignment with that purpose and complements that purpose and create divine union from there. So getting married at the age of 18 or in college or in your 20s, that model may not work by and large in today's world, right? But it worked for your parents. It worked for your parents. Or maybe it didn't because the divorce rate is still high. Why? Because maybe they discovered who they truly were by the time that they're 30 and they realized who they married at 25 was not the right partner for the rest of their life journey. Okay? So again, we have to be very mindful of the programs that we have accepted and adopted and make sure that we're examining them. And so now we are going to start running our own programs instead. Below is an example of an individual's life in each of those areas and the programs running in the background of their subconscious mind. Our programming either helps us or hurts us. Our programming either helps us or hurts us, serves us or severs us from our divine inheritance. Our programming either helps us or hurts us, serves us or severs us from our divine inheritance. Consider the programs you run in each area of your life and ask, how they feel to you. Does eating based on the food pyramid make you feel good? Does it add energy to your life or take it away? Does saving money feel good, or do you know that you can't save your way to wealth and that money is meant to be circulated? Does trading time for money with the goal of retiring at 65 align with your vision for your life? I invite you to create a similar chart outlining the programs you are aware of in each area of your life and score how certain programs feel to you. We're going to get into the feeling. How does it feel to you on a scale of 0 to 10? And so in the Rituals Workbook, which is the complimentary workbook that goes with the book, you have this exact same worksheet right here. It's bigger for you. And what I want you to do is I want you to go through each area of your life, and I want you to think about what programs have I been taught in my personal life about success, right? It's lonely at the top. Does that actually feel good to you? Is that part of the reason why you haven't been successful, because you believe it's lonely yet you're community oriented? You see how if you accept that program that is lonely at the top, now you actually don't want to get to the top because you don't want to be lonely. Community is more important to you than being at the top if you accept that program. But what if you change that program, right, through this page over here, reprogramming? What if you change that program to there are amazing people at the top? That's actually why they're at the top. And I'm looking forward to meeting them. You see how I just changed that program around? And so now I release the idea that if I get to the top, it's going to be lonely. What professional ideas do you have? The 40-40 Club. Financial ideas. Save your money, right? Spiritual ideas. Oh, if I just go to church, I'm going to be saved. If I just get baptized, I'm going to be saved, right? Relationship success. The men should pay. The women should pay. It should be 50-50. Is that working for you? Is it working for you, family? Social success, right? Don't talk to strangers. Is that working for you? People are shady. Is that working for you? Is that bearing good fruit in your life? Academic success, right? How you study. What higher education means. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about going back to school." If we can't see that higher education is basically a Ponzi scheme where they get free money from the government through financial aid, and that's actually the government's money, so you're basically taking on a loan from the government to go, so the government will pay the institution, and now you are indebted to the government on a loan that you can't file bankruptcy for. So it's a way for the government to actually issue debt to its citizens. Like, if we can't see that now, and that there are faster ways to learn and more financially efficient ways to learn and get to your desired destination, we've been caught up in the old program that worked in the 60s, the 70s, and even the 80s. Higher education was the key. It was the fastest path. It was the escalator. Today, that's not the reality anymore. Okay? And then physical success, right? Do you eat for what tastes good, or do you eat for energy? How do you even define food? Food is supposed to give us energy to do the work that God called us to do. But oftentimes we eat for taste. And so these are the programs that we have. And I want you to evaluate, does this feel good for me or does it feel bad for me on a scale of -3 to +3? And then from there, we go through the process of reprogramming. If somebody's asking, where do I get that from? If you want the Rituals Workbook, if you only have the physical copy of Rich and Righteous and you want the Rituals Workbook, you can go to richrightnow.com/store. That's richrightnow.com/store, and you can get the Rituals Workbook. These are all the exercises that you see at the end of each chapter. They correspond with the book, and they all are right here, okay? So that is homework. For those of you who have the book already, that is homework, and if you don't have it, you can try to do this on a separate sheet of paper. And so here in the book, I laid out some programs, right? And so now the next step is to evaluate how these programs feel to me, right? And from there, if they don't feel good, then what does that mean? I have to change that program. I have to change that program. So here are 2 examples of going through the 4-step reprogramming process. Example number 1, don't play with fire, right? The deprogramming statement that we're going to use every time we are changing or challenging an existing program that we have is, I release this program without judgment until I discover what is best for me. I release this program without judgment until I discover what is best for me. So oftentimes when we find that we've been lied to or limited by what somebody told us, we want to get mad at them for telling us that. We don't want to spend any of our energy doing that. I release this program without judgment Because the reason that person told me that program was probably not to limit me. It was because it actually worked for them in their time and in their life. It worked for them, right? So they were actually trying to help me, but then when I tried it on, it didn't work for me, right? So we just released the program without judgment of the program or judgment of the person who gave the program to us, all right? And we release it until I discover what is best for me. You know, on the internet, they say, oh yeah, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. And half the world that may work for because they're early birds. I'm an early bird. But then there's another half of people who are actually not introverts, but night owls. And so if you're watching all these social media people say, oh, to be successful, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. But for some reason, your rhythm has you performing best at night, then you're going to feel out of place. You're going to feel like you're doing something wrong and it will not work for you. You'll beat yourself up because you can't wake up at 5 a.m. So this is, again, we release the program without judgment, right? Until we discover what is best for me. So back to the program example number 1. Don't play with fire. I release the program without judgment until I discover what is best for me. The reprogram is fire allows me to cook. And fire keeps me warm. So then I run the program and I realize I love cooking and it feels good to me. So I'm now releasing this Don't Play with Fire program that was taught to me when I was a kid to protect me, right? But at some point in my life, that program was actually limiting me because now I'm not cooking, right? Are y'all understanding this? This is a basic one. Another one, example number 2. We've been addressing this one all throughout the book. Money is the root of all evil. We were programmed with that. It's the love of money and the lack of money that is the root of all evil. The deprogram, I release this program without judgment. Okay, that's the past. I release this program without judgment until I discover what is best for me. The reprogram is that love and lack of money is the root of all evil. Okay, and then I run that program and I say, it feels good using money to do good. Everybody affirm that. It feels good using money to do good. It feels good to use money to do good. It feels good to use money to do good. It feels good to use money to do good. Right? So that is now the new program that we are replacing it with. So as you test out new beliefs in different areas of your life, treat them like an experiment. Treat them like an experiment. Again, the language pattern from the Bible is test and approve. Enter the experiment open-minded. All you're looking for is the result. Whether they are positive or negative will be determined by how you feel as you hold on to these new beliefs. Only conduct one experiment in each area of your life at a time so that you can isolate the results and attribute how one tweak here and there led to this or that. You must accept this responsibility as the primary programmer. Everybody affirm, I am the primary programmer of my life. I am the primary programmer of my life. I am the primary programmer of my life. If the programs you have aren't manifesting the life you desire, you must change the program, not the external projection of the program. As the program runs, you must observe your own code and reprogram any bugs or glitches. The matrix is in your mind, not in the world. Start within. The matrix is in your mind, not in the world. So start within. Okay? So that concludes not only today's reading, but that concludes this chapter on how to reprogram the mind for more money. And that also concludes our 5 days. We don't like to use the word week here. You're going into your strong end. I pray that as you go into your strong end, that you have some time for Sabbath where you rest and recover so that you can build up the energy you need to do the work that God called you to do. You know, a lot of people, how many of y'all are tired right now? How many of y'all are tired right now? See, when people are tired, especially on a Friday, they think that they need to work harder to get more things done, or they need to work smarter. These are some of the words that have come out there in the language patterns. But if you're tired, tired has to do with what? Energy. So if you're tired, you actually have to work on your sleep strategy. You don't have to work on your work harder strategy. or work more strategy or work smarter strategy if tired is directly related to your energy. What it's saying is that for the demand of work that I had this week, I did not have enough energy, therefore I'm tired. And so if the work that you're doing in the world, whether it is somebody else's work or it's your God-given work, your purpose, if you're tired, then the question becomes, how do I generate enough energy to meet this demand? So the work likely won't change. In fact, the work will likely expand. I need to become a better leader. I need to develop a sleep strategy. I need to get to bed on time. I need to eat for energy. I need to see if I can weave naps into my day. I need to find periods or pockets to rest, right? I need to work on my energy management so that I can meet the demand of the work that is here. Not focus so much on the work. How do I work harder and work smarter? I need to work on my energy management so that I have more than enough energy to meet this demand of work. Is this making sense? See, we want to focus literally on the work. How can I hack this and do this and work this? What technology, what AI can I use? That's all cool. But at the end of the day, do you have enough energy to do the work that you're called to do? And so as you go into this strong end, I encourage you to take Sabbath, whether that is a full day on Saturday or Sunday, whether it's half a day, or even if it's just 2 hours for yourself. Sleep in. I encourage you to take Sabbath during this strong end so that you end this quote unquote week stronger. And we can come back on Monday and continue our inner work here with Read Rich and Righteous. All right. Again, if you haven't got the book, you can go to richrightnow.com. That's richrightnow.com and join the challenge for free. On the thank you page, you can get the ebook or the audio book, as well as all of the recordings from our readings thus far. It has been absolutely a blessing to serve you. Actually, as we go into the beginning of next week, we are moving into money commandment number 3. We're moving into money commandment number 3, and this is how the rich and righteous feel about money. Our first reading there will be, you can't hate rich people and want to be rich. You can't hate rich people and want to be rich. So make sure you set your phone alarms and that you don't miss out on that. So I will see you at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. With that, be God to yourself. Love yourself as God loves you. Be master over yourself as God is master over you. And remember that you are first cause. You are God, lowercase g, in your own life. And no individual, institution, or outside experience has more power over the future and direction of your life than you. All right? Go enjoy your strong end, family. Love y'all, and I'll see you soon. Peace. I, Jullien Gordon, with this mortgage, relinquish part of my freedom to psych. I've been rent-free since I acquired my first multifamily property, a triplex in Brooklyn, New York, in May of 2013. And since then, I now own 16 multifamily properties with 40 doors that generate about $38,000 per month in rents in just 8 years on the side. Do not sign a 30-year mortgage. Get freedom for life when you buy a multifamily property. Did you know that the word mortgage literally means death pledge? The prefix mort is the same as mortician or mortuary. Listen to me. 44 million households rent, and 82 million single-family buyers think that they own, but they don't. HGTV will say, congrats, you're a homeowner. But that's not true. That's a lie. The moment you get the keys, you're a home buyer. And that is a huge difference. As a home buyer, you're still paying rent. It's not rent to a landlord. It's rent to the bank to use their money. That's called interest. You are borrowing the bank's money, right? The interest on a $300,000 home at a 4% interest rate will be about $208,000 over 30 years. So that $300,000 house is actually a $508,000 house. What does that mean? That means that you're not only buying yourself a home, you're also buying a home for your banker. If this is you, I can help you get out of this by acquiring a multifamily property. Whether it is rent or a mortgage payment, most American housing expense takes up about 35% of their income. In times like this, when rents are rising, unemployment is rising, and inflation is rising, but wages are staying stagnant, you absolutely need to be rent and mortgage free. Imagine the freedom of never, ever, 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 ever having a housing expense for the rest of your life. If you want financial freedom, starting with your rent and your mortgage, like I did, then click the link below and register for my free webinar coming up on how to finance, find, and finalize multifamily real estate deals. It is actually not as hard as you may think, but keeping up with rising housing costs are. You need to be the receivers of rent, not the payers. Your time is now. Click the link below.